Yeah, we actually ran Stone Forsythe out there about halfway through practice today. He did quick touch his toes and got in some of the drills. So Stone will be our vision of the new swing tackle right now, number 3, while Charles continues to keep working.
You went through the whole process of a training camp as the guy. What did you learn about your job and everything that comes along with it that was different from your previous stops as you grew into this?
That's a deep question. You know, I was fortunate in Tampa that Jason gave me such exposure to everything that we did there. I was right next to him for most of it. So I think for me, the big difference is that ultimately somebody has to make a decision. And when, you know, on the personnel side, a lot of times in harmony with Pete, it comes down to me and him. And so, you know, the hardest or the most different thing for me yesterday probably was, and the day before, was when we talked to the guys that we unfortunately had to let go, that, you know, that's a different conversation that I've had in the past. In the past, it was more like maybe I was the person just delivering the news. I think there was an understanding, looking at it and be like, you know, you're part of the main reason why. And so I think there's a responsibility in that, and something I don't take lightly. But, you know, I think I learned about us and what we're trying to do as the Raiders, that we had great communication, and we were able to solve any problems that kind of were laid out in front of us.
John, obviously Jacoby had a trade request, but despite that, no holdout situation, still coming to practice. What do you think that says about his professionalism, and how do you assess his value to this team?
Well, Jacoby's a consummate professional, and Jacoby and I have had a lot of great conversations since I've gotten here about many different things. And, you know, I'm excited that he's here and he's a Raider, and he's out in the field working hard today, and I've not seen him do anything but that since I've been here. He's a professional. I think he really values being a Raider. He has a lot of respect for this game, and I think he only knows how to go about it one way, which is give his best when he's out there.
John, what was your thought process, if you could elaborate at all, on not bringing Tommy Watt onto the practice squad?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Tommy, and you know, there was a lot of hard decisions that we made the last couple of days, and ultimately our responsibility, coach and myself, is to put the best 53 and then 17 after that, and to get ready to win football games. And there's always a development part of that too, but there's a reality sometimes that who is most ready and who is furthest along and who could help this team win the most. And ultimately we made some decisions that didn't include him for now. When I talked to him yesterday, you know, he's a great kid. He worked really, really hard to try to become an NFL wide receiver after being an FCS quarterback. I don't think people understand quite how hard that is. And unfortunately, this is not a field where there's a lot of patience all the time. And I still believe in Tommy. I think he's got a really bright future, and I really hope that he finds a place where he can find maybe a little more patience from a roster standpoint. The other thing I would say too, and this is to compliment, you know, Alex Guerrero, Chris Cortez, and our entire athletic training staff, we were very, very healthy. And a lot of times those decisions get made for you. You know, there's a lot of times where I've been in a wide receiver room where you have 15 guys, and the next thing you know, you're down to 10, and it's not that hard to make a decision. We had to make a decision between all the wide receivers that we brought to camp. They were all healthy at the end. So unfortunately, it didn't work out here for Tommy right now, but I'm never saying never to him, and I wish him the best wherever he ends up.
You just brought in Amari Cooper. Was that kind of indicative of just maybe how young it was behind the first 3 guys, and just wanted to get more experience in there?
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to try to find guys at different times that can help our team win. And, you know, I think I love the idea of playing rookies. I think that's a constant, like, tug of war between coaches and personnel people sometimes. And I think it's really easy for me to sit up here and say, play the rookies, because I don't have to call the plays and coach them up and, you know, get the quarterback to feel like they can trust him. And so we just constantly monitored who was available, and the more we talked about it, and then Amari was still there, and the way we saw our roster developing and seeing Dante and Jack come along, we started to have some conversations with Amari about coming back to Raider Nation, and you know, he was super interested right away. And obviously we made the move because we felt like he made us better, and it's been really cool to see him out there the last couple of days. He's somebody I've had a lot of respect for a long time. I can still remember in 2016 in Tampa, when some of you guys may have been there, when he shredded us. And that was a long time ago, probably for both me and him, but a lot of respect for him. I'm glad he's a Raider right now.
How do you have a player like that who, you know, has been unsigned at this point, hasn't been on another team going through OTAs and training camp. What goes into making sure that player is ready to go if you sign him, and then what gives you confidence about Amari specifically that he still has something left in the tank?
Well, he played good football for a team that went to the AFC Championship last year too, and his ability to make unique catches is something that's always stood out for me. And whether or not you're the fastest guy in the world or you're not the fastest guy in the world, you're going to have to make contested catches at this level, and he's always been able to do that. And he had many of those last year. In terms of getting him ready to play, that's Alex Guerrero and them are having to. They onboard him, they kind of assess where he's at physically. Obviously, he has not been in a camp, so we cannot have an expectation that he's in tip-top shape and ready to play football. But we have a plan for him to bring him along, and that plan will more than likely include him being a big part of the game plan in New England in 10 days or whatever it is from now.
John, now that Geno Smith has been in the building since April, just what has been your impression of him and how he's acclimated himself as one of the leaders on the team?
He's been everything we wanted him to be. He's a hard worker. He's competitive. When he comes out to practice, it's with conviction, and he's out there for a reason. It's not something that he's just out there throwing a football around. I mean, he is detailed. He's been a leader for us. He likes to mix it up with Max, which is a fun thing to see too, because I always love a quarterback that won't back down from people like Max, and he can throw the football. I mean, I've always admired his arm, but when you stand close to him, I think you guys have been out there now to really see him throw a football. It's pretty special the way that he can spin it, but I think a lot of us knew that the person has been as advertised, but again, not a surprise because Coach knew him so well.
Talked about that tug of war sometimes between playing rookies or coaches maybe wanting more veteran players. When you're sitting in your chair, how difficult is that battle between trying to develop a guy and trying to find a guy that might help you win next Sunday?
I wouldn't say it's a battle, but you just got to know what the guys are capable of, and you don't want to throw rookies into situations, or really anybody, that they're not totally prepared for. And people progress at different levels, and wide receiver is a really hard job to master. It requires a lot athletically, it requires a lot mentally, and it requires a quarterback to trust you too. I mean, I've been around some really great ones, and if they didn't trust you, you were never going to get the ball, ever. And they were pretty vocal about that too. So, Jack and Dante have both been doing really well, and bringing in somebody with Amari is somebody that can take a little bit of the pressure off of him, so we don't have to rely so much on him. And also another really good player that's had a really great career that they can rely on for advice and can help to teach them what it really looks like.
I guess more broadly, on my question of making a decision for the team today and a team for the future. You have to plan for next week, next year, down the road. How difficult are those decisions?
Well, it's challenging because you don't want to wake up, a month, 2 months, a year from now, and not have pieces in place in the future too. But you can't do that and just plan for the future and neglect today and the next week and the next game. And so, I think as you have more experience in the job that I have, and Coach Carroll obviously has been doing it a long time, and the people we have around us, there's just, I don't know if I have a great answer for you, Adam, but just there's a gut to it where it's like this guy, after the conversations and how he's coming along and his mental makeup and his intelligence and his work ethic, how much is he ready for? How much can we expect? And not that they're not going to take losses. Everybody takes losses and gets beat down and gets beat in this league. Everybody, even the best ones. But their ability to bounce back from it and be prepared for that situation and know that I can get up and I can keep going is paramount. And it is a nuanced challenge every year, but it is one that we have to be really good at, because we want to win today and win tomorrow and the next year.
What was it that stood out to you about Kenny Pickett that was different than other quarterbacks that might have been available, or just in comparison to him, that you thought would make him a good contribution in every game?
I have a lot of respect for the player. He's 15-10 as a starter. He's had opportunities to play. He won a Super Bowl last year, so he knows what it looks like. I think I said before, he's a good athlete. He's not too dissimilar from Geno in a lot of ways, the way he can move and the offense that we want to run. I think sometimes you can get two different types of quarterbacks, and it becomes a big challenge for offense coordinator for Chip to kind of match those two up and have the backup quarterback ready to go should something happen in the middle of the game. But with Kenny and the way he kind of mirrors Geno in a lot of ways, that just makes it a little bit easier in what is already a very hard job. And again, he's won in this league. He's somebody we have a lot of respect for. We had great character reports with him coming out of Pitt a bunch of years ago, and we just felt like he was a good ad for our culture and for our team.
Let's
go Willie, Steve, and then Vinny.
John, we can just clarify, just based on what your comments about keeping an eye on Amari, always keeping an eye where he was at. Is it just pure coincidental that the news of Jacoby requesting a trade, that they were roughly the same day at the same time? I mean, did it have anything to do with that in terms of the news breaks that he requested trade? So let's go lock him up in case something doesn't happen with Jacoby.
My official answer and the absolute truth is it was pure coincidence, yes. It may not look like that, but it was absolutely coincidence. We have been talking to Amari for a while, just making sure it was the right fit and we could work the right contract out.
Thank you.
John, you mentioned a couple times this afternoon about being on the same page. 9 of your 11 draft picks made this roster, this 53-man roster. What does that say about your ability to build a staff you did build here and have the communication lines open among everybody to come to consensus on every player that you did draft and to see them at this point make your roster?
I think it started with Coach and I being on the same page from the get-go last year, and we had a lot to get accomplished in a short period of time when he and I both got here. Work with the staff, work together, try to sort through the different scouting reports that I had, my background, and what I would look for in draft picks and all that. And ultimately we knew from the start that we were looking for the same kind of football player, the same kind of makeup. And then I thought Coach and I brought that to life with the draft. And we've talked from the start about building and fostering a culture that thrives on competition, and that if you can't meet that challenge every day, if it's too much for you, you won't have a very good chance to be here long term. And when we drafted those guys, I think I can remember sitting up here, whatever it was, 4 months ago, and saying that we'll see how they do physically, but I was convicted that they were the right kind of person that could survive in this culture. And I think 9 of those guys making that is a testament to that, because it was a hard training camp and it was a lot for all of them, but they showed up every day because they love to play and love to compete, and they're the right kind of people we want to build this program on.